Please, Exhibit, pimp my ride for my grandfather for 9/11 for America.
It's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. Yeah, it's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got some love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta shoot the truth. My art is my art.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. Episode 8 of the Boondocks Podcast. Today we're covering The Real. Here's our HBO Max synopsis.
Hold on, hold on. So this isn't episode. The episode we're covering is episode 8. What's our episode? Would this be 9?
No, this
or
is
10?
still okay. So
would you count our live episode?
That one has not. That just exists on YouTube only.
I see.
So It is not an official episode. It was our hangout for official the Boondocks official election coverage night.
Okay.
So
sorry to interrupt.
So this is still episode 8. So
all right.
Please continue.
All right, let's HBO Max synopsis. While Riley's convincing 2 reality shows that Granddad's blind and running a homeless shelter, Huey is being shadowed by a secret government agent. But is he real? And that's basically what the episode is about, is the fakeness of reality TV and understanding what's real about reality. And, we'll unpack all that shit later. Mm-hmm. But what do you ladies have going on this week?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I mean,
first, can I say, celebrate good times? I want to be. Right?
I want to be celebrating right now. But
yeah, it was the longest week in history.
Yes.
Let's just say that,
absolutely.
Out of the longest year in history. But
Jesus, right?
But wait, there's more.
Right? Oh my God! Yeah,
of course he's not going to accept it. Come on.
No,
we all knew this.
Baby. Yeah, he's a baby. But what I loved was just the unity that you saw, and that people were celebrating like their NBA or MLB or NFL team just
all
won,
over the world, not just in this country.
The world,
yeah,
like Paris.
Right?
Actually had fireworks.
Oh my God.
And London, yeah.
And Berlin. There were fireworks in Berlin.
Yeah. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that I also like to kind of think like, things, everything's just, peaches and cream. But I feel deep down that it was the beginning, not saying that it was the beginning and everything's going to all of a sudden get better.
Yeah.
But I think it is the beginning of a story that our generation and people around are going to be able to tell and go, I remember when things started to kind of turn around, and I feel like that would be it. I mean, we deserve to have, our society become so much better after the 4 years of ridiculousness.
Not just the 4 years. Let's go back. Let's go back. This shit has been growing for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking all that. Sorry, I'm getting all riled up.
Who does that to you? Who does that?
Well, it's I don't know. It's the whole thing is just so frustrating when you think I keep bringing up the first election that I ever voted in, which was Al Gore and W. And I felt at that point that I was between a rock and a hard place. I was like, okay, so we've got the boring vice president versus the dumb as shit billionaire, and we're in the exact same fucking spot. Biden's going to do okay with the center, but the right is going to fracture and the left is going to fracture unless he appoints Bernie and AOC to high up places. And
I just told him that today. I was like, Bernie's going to have to work with them. AOC, I'm so mad at myself that I just found out that she was a bartender.
Oh yeah.
And then I did not know that. Love her even more. But let's be honest. He has Kamala. Kamala's about to really be the one that's running that shit. She's about to be talking to Obama. Her Obama about to be like, okay, Barry, so what do you... come on. I
respect her.
I love him, Uncle Joe. There's definitely some things I don't agree with, and I'm just hoping that she doesn't, come out guns a-blazing, even though she doesn't really believe in your right to have guns a-blazing. But I think that, one, her fashion's about to be ridiculous.
Dude, I am so excited about the pantsuit not being something made fun of. I would love to rock a fucking suit with a corset on. Girl.
I saw some comments, girl. I'm not gonna lie. I just didn't have time that day. But am I crazy, or didn't they say, or did I see on Twitter today, someone was tweeting about Dick Cheney advising Biden in some way?
Oh, I saw someone said something about that. Did you, Dean's? Okay.
Yeah, that was bogusly reported that CNN said that Biden was working with Cheney, so that's not true.
Okay.
I had heard that rumor too, but I looked over
I will jump in like what's his name, Daniel Dale from CNN with the quick fact check.
Okay, beautiful. I mean, I saw it and I was just like, whatever. I'm not surprised because I'm not buying this shit either. I know, like, to your point, I look at Gen Z, you're my only hope. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at y'all like, all right, it's on you.
I mean, young millennials too. My stepdaughter, Dean's daughter, turned 21 this week. It was her first presidential election. Her and all her friends, they were so excited and so very proud of being able to do that. Like they're technically millennials because they were born in like 99. Is that right? Yeah. So technically they're in that generation, but they're like right on that cusp. I don't know, whatever they. I know they have the little micro generation for, me.
They do. Like, I feel like there's a new one every other year, and it's like it's right into between this age, and it's like, wait, I thought they crossed over.
Like, they are in the 80s, I was considered Gen X, but then in early 2000s, they were like, no, you're a something else. I can't even remember.
There's a special name for y'all. It's like Gen X millennial hybrid because my sisters.
Exennial. That's what it is. Thank you.
Yep.
Exennial. And it's. You can't just hand something to me. I heard him. Okay. So CNN did not report Dick Cheney would be advising Joe Biden on foreign policy, the network says. Did not report, blah, 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 considered as an advisor to Joe Biden on foreign policy, according to this guy. Just basically saying that was a rumor that was false. So.
Keep it that way.
Right?
We don't need any more. We don't need any more rumors.
Sick of it.
We don't need any more.
Thank God.
No fake news.
Speaking. Okay, I think this needs to be bigger than what I'm seeing. So, and I keep bringing it up to Dean. He's like, "Yeah, I knew about it. Yeah, we've known about." So there is a right-wing social media platform. I'm not going to name it because don't want to give them any more business, but. It's been around for a few years, but it's had a massive uptick in basically all of the right-wingers that are pissed off at Facebook and Twitter. That's where they're going. And there have been numerous screenshots being passed around Twitter of people on that social media platform threatening violence and basically wanting to start civil war. So that's why I'm like, no. They were talking on the news before we came on. I was watching a little bit. And they were saying something about, and it's so nice how it's been so quiet. We were all so afraid there was going to be unrest. And I'm like, no, it's not over yet. Don't do that.
Right. And as far as they're concerned, they still have some power. Mm-hmm. Donnie's like, I'm not leaving.
Right.
We're going to court.
And there's other fucking Republicans saying, yeah, the president, we don't even know. I'm not going to congratulate Joe. He hasn't won anything yet. Mm-hmm. Fuck all of you. All of them are, the only thing they're thinking about is power and their own personal asses. Mm-hmm. Like Trump doesn't want to lose office because he knows as soon as he's out, he's getting arrested and he's going to have to owe all these millions and billions of dollars and that he doesn't have. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And all his friends are going to get in trouble. So they all want him to stay in office because then they won't get in trouble. Or if they do, he'll get them out of it.
Yeah. I knew that it was going to be a shit show. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, everybody just buckle in and prepare for the worst 2-year-old tantrum that's going to last 70 days. And he did it immediately,
Yep. Same night.
Same night. I know I talk to you guys about SNL like every week because I love when, there's something in politics going on. They get the best people to come
white
back.
Pantsuit?
Yeah. Yes. So I just love that, Jim Carrey as Joe Biden said, look who's I made it. I was just like, yes. I feel like he probably went in a corner after he destroyed a room in the White House. Like there's probably a room that it just yellow tape all over it. Don't go in there. After he did that, he probably went into a corner and, started rocking himself and eating cheeseburgers from McDonald's, incessantly. I'm waiting for Melania. I'm waiting for the book.
No, there's not going to be a book. She signed a non-disclosure agreement, but I will bet you anything within 90 days of him getting arrested, she has filed for divorce.
Oh, for sure.
I do not see that being a thing now that he is no longer going to have power.
She pulls her papers out of the drawer like an old love letter, and she just looks at it so often.
Prenuptial agreement.
I'd like to play something if I could, real quick. Just
please.
Congratulate President-elect Trump. I think we all agree this is a stunning election, and clearly an indication the American people would like to try something new. Congratulate President.
That was 4 years ago, the day after.
Wow.
So they can pretend all they want that the media doesn't call it, but fuck them.
Yeah.
I love how all of a sudden they don't know how elections work.
They don't at all.
Also, can we talk about the fact that there's all this stuff that the president's trying to say about voter suppression and voter fraud that was done by the Democrats? And
you told your people,
right? You told them not to.
And then you go, well, I don't understand how the numbers are changing because they've already counted your votes for those people that.
But no, it must be illegal votes because they're still counting it, and it's been a week after Election Day.
Oh yeah, because that never happens. That never has happened before.
Oh my God. And I have the shortest attention span when it comes to politics. I pay attention to what is necessary for my own self being, and then I move away from it. But I swear to God, even I was like, oh, we're not going to know the fucking answers tonight. I just want to know majority. I just want to see if it's actually going to be as close as everyone's saying. You cannot ever, I don't think we've ever really had one that was over quickly. Except maybe, the first time Obama was elected, because it seemed like enough of a landslide.
So announcements happen quickly from media folks. They have their own little math election folks
but they do it by state. They're not
and exactly. And they do that.
And they were so much more careful not to do that this year. At least CNN.
Well, they've been so much more careful since 2000. With Bush Gore. It happens. It happened last 2016, the night
it happened in 2018.
Well, I'm just talking about we're only talking about presidential elections here. So when they called, I remember Wolf Blitzer calling it for Trump. That happened. That was the night of or the very next day. It was, and Hillary conceded the next day. And then she came out the next day after that and said that she conceded. She called President-elect Trump, and so forth and so on. It went just like every other fucking election went. So anyway.
Yeah, and they were showing what was that? I was Jimmy Kimmel, and they were showing how every other president has conceded and given a nice little speech and said blah 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 blah, and we're going to work together. But no, not this one. Not this one. I'm going to just drag my feet. My mother-in-law called us earlier and said, she asked my husband, she says, can I ask you a question with all of your education and things? And he said, yeah. And she says, so I'm hearing on MSNBC and CNN that Trump is basically trying to start a dictatorship and he is going to have the military. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, does she no, but the fact that there is media.
She's
putting out that, that rhetoric to a certain audience.
Right.
The older audience.
She's not necessarily wrong.
It
really does look like he's trying to lead a coup. He doesn't have the power, but all of the people around him have the power, and they are the ones propping him up. So I don't think he's trying to have a coup. I think that just literally is the whole point of the Republican shit that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I think it was a coup from the start.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, even what we're talking about now, it's just like you guys just talking about education before this got started. I used to nanny. I used to be a teacher. And I think we've talked about it on this podcast. When it comes to kids, right? They are always testing your boundaries. Is she gonna let me eat this cookie? Is she gonna hit me if I talk back? Is she gonna send me to my room? The Republican Party and Donald Trump's administration have been breadcrumbing or testing limits since the start. What can I get away with? And they've gotten away with a lot.
Yeah.
Where's Garland? Hi, Amy. Like, they've made up rules. They've done all kinds of shit. So, of course, no, he's not going to concede. He's going to test his boundaries. We're going to do what we've done all along, which actually ties into our episode today. We're going to create reality, and we're going to see how much you buy into the reality we're creating and what we're putting out here. And what are you going to do to stop us?
Yeah. I like that. That should be like on a t-shirt. Stop this. No,
God, with Mitch McConnell's wrinkly.
Oh my God.
Black hands.
And then we have to continue. I don't understand what's wrong with this state.
That was where I was going earlier about how somehow there was all of this voter fraud, but yet Republicans did not lose any seats in the Senate and they actually gained seats in the House. This was very obviously against Trump, not against Republicans, which actually bothers the fuck out of me. But then again, I'm not really surprised with this fucking right-wing country we live in.
Well, we have, these rappers and celebrities now that are like,
Jesus, are they going to leave? What was the one, the idiot that he called Little Pimp? Little Pump?
With him.
Little Pump said he was going to move to Colombia.
When he called him Little Pimp.
Well, Little Pimp.
You guys know the guy? Little Pimp. And I was like, I mean, I saw that and I said, this has got, Ashton Kutcher is doing a damn good job. Like, this is the best ever. I will continue to say that. I'm just going to deny that this ever happened. But it's amazing to me. What really scared me is when they all went and stood outside of the, the voters. Where they were counting the ballots and stuff in Arizona, with their guns, which they could legally. That was scary. And that said a lot. And
yelling count every vote as if that's not what they're doing in there. As if the people that are in there making minimum wage, working 10, 15 hours at a time. Like,
for months now.
Fuck on. I mean, these specifically are people that started the day of the election because in Arizona, they can't count until then. So they have been going 24 hours since then, literally making minimum wage, which in Arizona is shit. And somehow these people think that they are going to there's this conspiracy that all these minimum wage workers are going to throw out Trump votes and only count Biden votes or some bullshit. I don't even know.
Yeah, I watch so much CNN. Normally we go to sleep to like Pornhub or something like that. Only CNN for the internal week. And I saw the same lady that I was like, did she go home? I saw the same lady that was right behind the reporters. And she was just unfolding her thing and I was like, you know what? I give it to you because I would have been like, nope.
I can't say his name. You got to say his name. Carnegie. No, not Carnegie.
Steve Kornacki.
On
MSNBC.
The guy with doing the math in his head, they had to make him take a nap because he hadn't left in like 3 days.
Yeah. That was he had a crazy just his walk, they would walk from the main, desk over to the big screen. It looked like that man didn't know where he was going. Like he was literally sleepwalking. And Cuomo too, who is hilarious, by the way.
I mean, he started like the morning of election day and then basically didn't leave the studio. So I'm not surprised about Cuomo. We stopped watching CNN though. They were giving time to Santorum and I can't fucking stand that dude. So we had to turn off CNN.
And we have a friend who I call him a genius. He pretty much is. He's something engineer, some special engineer, but he's super smart. So he sends me and this also, I was like, you have a lot of time on your hands out that you're by yourself. But he was like, I decided to do a little bit of, love my own numbers. He made up his own Excel tracker, did all this, and he actually had it down to just a couple of hours before they called it. And he's like, it's going to be Biden. And he's like, here. And I was like, wow. Yeah, all his numbers look like heebie-jeebies to me. I just was looking and I was like, okay, we need Philadelphia or, Pennsylvania. Let's get Pennsylvania. But yeah.
The fact that once again, the Democratic Party has been saved by Black voters. Hello, Philadelphia. Hello, Atlanta. Black voters, Native voters in Arizona, which primarily went blue because of reservations. Can we talk about Hispanics, though? Come on. What the fuck? Why are you voting for Trump? What is that?
I was like, what the?
Have you heard him?
I was like so excited, like, oh yeah, man, I don't want to go. What is it? Like, what is it? I will say this because I don't care if any of them listens. So my husband's in a fraternity, multicultural. He has a chapter here in Sac State. I have never seen so many Latin men whose family are from picking tomatoes and worked in the strawberry fields, but try to act so freaking Caucasian. Like they just, I'm like, is it just because you guys go to college? Like, I don't understand where that little switch came, because you guys are definitely not from that. So it's very interesting to me. And they all have, wives that are nowhere near any type of flavor or color or anything. It's just, I don't know if in their minds, like they said, Cuban Americans, in like Miami or like Florida, they were like just blowing it up and, right there in support. I don't know if they feel like it's better for them to assimilate. And because they are in an area like Florida and Miami, it's a little higher cost of living and their lives are a little, more fast paced. I'd be interested to know. Like, I'm waiting for Vice News to do something on it and sit down and talk to, and really find out why. Yeah. I mean, Florida's crazy. So, we knew Florida was because they're just crazy. But yeah.
Now, this is a little different. One of my girlfriends is from Laos, and her dad's a hardcore Trump supporting Republican. And she said, though, because they've gone back and forth, she said in his mind, he feels like I was a refugee. I came here. I worked my ass up the ladder and I did this and I did that. And I'm not going to let Democrats just give Black people and other minorities handouts and when I had to do all this.
But what if when he had come over as a refugee, he'd been put in a cage for 3 years and everybody forgot about him? Like,
they don't think of that.
I think that right there is the whole tagline of the Republican Party. They don't think of that. They don't think about anybody other than themselves and money that they can earn and power that they can get.
What infuriates me is that you're not even talking about the fact that there's 500 and some odd children.
666 as of today.
No. Yeah, because it's going up and down. But don't know where their parents are.
Right.
And those parents have no idea where their children are. And if they do, you have sent them back and you're not making it easier for them to come back and get
And most of those that were sent back were probably killed because they left for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. Going back to when I was working in that high school that we were talking about before we started recording, I worked with a girl who had just gotten out of El Salvador and, she had been passed around basically. In the camp that she was in. And it's the Republican Party just straight up is like, oh, it's still 100 years ago, right? Let's do schools where they take away every part of, this person's identity and make them into what we want them to. Let's make sure we lock up all these children and take away their parents so that eventually we have control of these children and we can sell them into foster care, or not sell them into foster care, but sell them essentially in adoption situations and all kinds of stuff. Like, I have friends who do foster care who are constantly like, we get calls all the time about essentially refugee babies. It fucking sucks. It's disgusting. I cannot
It's so sad. And I don't understand why they don't realize that. So in the same situation when, a child's father is taken by police or, put in jail, do you understand that you're just making that child, end up growing up with this hatred and this disdain. And the last thing they're going to do is respect you nor any other authority. So let's go ahead and take these children away from everything that they know, keep them here, put them in like a foster home situation, and then expect them to turn up to be, integral parts of society.
Hell, the United States basically created just about every terrorist in the last few hundred years because we like to bomb people just for the fucking hell of it. And so I hate that I keep saying I'm not surprised by the shit that our government has done before Trump and especially during Trump, because I feel like a lot of us on the left saw it coming and realized it was going to be a lot worse than a lot of other people thought. A lot of the people that I've been following politically for years are just like, at this point, are practically rabid with like tags on their back, which actually kind of leads into this episode a little bit because there's all these activists who, in reality, there are people like tied with the first Ferguson march that have mysteriously died. There are people who were at the head of the Black Lives Matter movement who have mysteriously died. There have been flat out assassinations on social justice leaders. And it's all just seen as noise by the right. Like, they don't fucking care about any of that. We're bugs.
Yeah. And they make the narrative whatever it is that they want to. And it's, won't you just admit that you're working out of fear? And not really knowing, you know what I'm saying? Just instead of just being a complete idiot, and just sounding like one.
I like that you said that. Let's see. Fuck, my brain just totally. So I like that you said that they're making up their own narrative. Basically, they're creating their own narrative, and. I kind of want to let's segue into the episode really, because it's just like one of the things that Dean and I have keep saying to each other is that it feels like we're watching bad reality TV when we talk about politics. And one of the main kind of themes of this episode, like Lindsay was saying earlier, was not just reality TV in general, but how reality can be bended and how like just the shows that they're spoofing on this show. Like, what was it? Pimp My Ride and, I don't know, one of the house makeover thingies.
Yeah.
Like, all of those shows are so fake. Like, why do you spend $35,000 pimping up a car for somebody who's going to now have to pay taxes and insurance on this car that they can't afford? So they're probably going to have to sell it.
Or you're doing shit that they can't drive it. Like, it's
right?
not...
You can't watch TV in a fucking steering wheel.
And a spa. Like, what is this, the 80s? What do you mean a spa in the back of it? Like, it's like, and it's funny because if you go back, I watch a lot of just, like I said, documentary stuff. Or
you guys watch reality TV. I don't even really watch it, and I'm seeing it like this.
Yeah, but they've done a lot of research, and the exhibit has come out and been like, oh my God, like, we took this shit out like it was just for the show. So we sent people home with like, where there was supposed to be a refrigerator. No, you just had a hole. And a lot of people, they couldn't resell it because it just didn't make any sense. Same thing with the home makeover. Like, okay, great. My house looks awesome, but guess what? The upkeep. And, we did come and help you because you have 77 kids,
But now I still have 77 kids.
Yes.
And more rooms to clean.
Yeah. So it is like a little bit of an injustice, but it was for our entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's, strictly what it was. Do you guys remember the ugly or the swan?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, God. Yes.
That was crazy. Like, nothing that comes on now should even surprise us because that was basically like.
Okay. So. For people who did not remember that one, because Dean is looking at me all cross-eyed, that's the one where they took somebody who was so ugly that they would basically do an entire body like makeover of plastic surgery makeover, like caps on the teeth, LASIK eye surgery, hair implants, butt implants, like whatever would make them look quote unquote sexy. And then like basically put them like on an exercise plan, and they were all covered up, and they weren't going to be, their new faces weren't revealed until they got on the show.
And all the mirrors in the house that they were in were covered up. And
now it's really cool that 2 of the contestants on that did end up falling in love and getting married.
I do remember that.
I don't remember anything beyond that, but
I remember that. And I thought, and it was the girl who, by all accounts was probably the ugliest duckling to begin with. And her, I can see her right now. I know exactly who you're talking about, but she went through a lot. And I know that a lot of the other contestants, they said they dealt with the outside, but they didn't take any concern about the inside. They didn't give them any emotional,
there's no
psychological
therapy
help. Yeah, because that has to be really daunting to be insecure and to be told that you're unattractive and to look at yourself. And then all of a sudden, you're like a weird science kind of project and you're just like all beautiful, so that was kind of like the beginning of reality shows. Didn't give a shit. We don't have any responsibility to it, but
like before that, they were kind of still trying to potentially better people's lives. And then at that, because they had like The Biggest Loser already and like other things like that, where they were doing these dramatic makeovers. But this, they took it to a whole nother level and basically said, you are so ugly that we will change every bit about you and your life will be magically better. Yeah. That's not how that works. That just...
like having their teeth just, just taken out of their mouths. And it was pretty crazy. But that would have been funny if they would have done like an episode like that in the Boondocks. If they would have did like the Swan instead of, home makeover. But I forgot how funny this episode was, first of all. Riley he kept me going. I was like, he is having some lines in this one. I'm telling you, he was having a good show on that one. It was just silly because everything he's saying was really kind of offensive, but it was just so funny to me.
Right? Like, okay. Did anyone get the clip about bitches? Let's do that. Do that one right now.
All I'm saying is when Exhibit brings that car back, you gonna be bitches.
What did you call me?
No, I mean bitches. Like you gonna have so many bitches, that's what niggas is gonna call you. No disrespect. No disrespect? You just called your grandfather bitches. Yeah, but I don't mean bitches in a disrespectful way. I mean it as a general word for women.
Not disrespectful at all.
It's a general word. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. Great. And then Grandpa was like, "It's cool."
well, I love that he literally also was like, "Grandpa Jedediah bitches." I'm like, "Ooh, we got a name."
I mean, that
was it. No, it's Jebediah. Sorry, not Jedediah. Jebediah.
Yeah. Same old freaking old country ass name. But this episode to me, I don't know, it spoke to me a little bit differently. So, okay, Eminem, my love him. And I will share my story about how I actually kicked it with him twice and was on his tour bus. We'll talk about that another time. But, I was so obsessed. I will tell this part. And my husband goes, don't tell people this, but I will. I was 23 years old and I used to wear a ring that my mom gave me. And I used to tell people that I was married to somebody named Marshall.
Aww.
Full 23, full grown, had a kid, work and everything. But people used to always go, how do you like him? He says bitches. He says this. He says that. And I'm like, well, he never said Tiffany is a bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just never took too much offense to it. Unless it's really, like I'm saying, it's just said in a hugely detrimental, malicious, I'm going to get in your face, bitch type stuff. I don't know. I just found that part funny because how he said, it's just no disrespect. It's just in general terms, So,
well, I think
my friends and my friends, my best friends, we call each other bitch.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
My
friends and I call each other bitches all the time. But if somebody just generally was calling me a bitch, I would not be okay with that. I don't know you. I don't know you. You don't get to call me a bitch. You know me, then we can talk.
You know, I mean, because let's be honest, some women are bitches.
Oh, and yeah, me.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hell yeah, that doesn't mean you can call me it.
You know, men or women. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. And I also thought it was kind of endearing because you do kind of see another aspect of Riley and Grandpa's relationship. Like, I feel like Grandpa, one, he's old and he's like, I don't got time. Like, I will whoop him when I need to. But overall, like, he knows that he's a good kid and he knows who he is and he kind of likes that side of him. And I think it kind of keeps him on his toes. So this was one of those times that I think that was displayed in just that interaction.
I think Riley makes Grandpa feel young sometimes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Riley really tuned into Grandpa's deep down obsession about bitches. You know, all like in his golden years, all Grandpa wants is to be surrounded by beautiful, half naked, if not fully naked women. You know, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would feel that way. I know. Like Dean and I are both. I mean, I wouldn't mind retiring being surrounded by beautiful women. I'm just, you know. So I think a big part of it is when Riley's purposely feeding into that, Grandpa's like, oh God, I really love feeling this way when he makes me feel like, sometimes he's like, God damn kid. And then the next minute he's like, oh yeah, bitches.
Yeah. And I think it played from the glasses. You know, he had his Bill Cosby glasses.
Oh my Dr. Bill Cosby.
And so, like, I think that was kind of setting up, like, you're not that old. Although I think Grandpa would be older than Bill Cosby. But with Riley going, you know what?
Probably about the same at the time. Like, now Bill Cosby's in his 80s, right?
Oh, God. I mean.
And this was 15 years ago. So, yeah, it's probably similar age group.
Yeah, but I think he was, like, Riley trying to go, we're not, you are not going down that road. I'm not about to have Grandpa going down that road. So let's go ahead and put you, I mean, although he lied, let's go ahead and put you on, you know.
It's not lying to Riley. It's just creating a reality.
And to the point you're both making, I think that's the character trait these two share is fantasy. Like, we've already seen how Granddad was oblivious to his girlfriend being a sex worker. Meanwhile, everyone is screaming at him and he's like, nope, this is reality. And then Riley's a child and has his hood fantasies and his grandeur. So when they get each other going, it's like...
you can tell that they are cut from the same cloth. Huey doesn't necessarily seem like he comes from Granddad sometimes. Riley seems like he comes from Granddad. I don't remember if we eventually find out if Granddad was the parent of Mom or Dad, but I really wish we could get a little bit more of that story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, perfect example when Grandpa went home to get his rain jacket. And to to avoid that's kind of something Riley would be like, nah, I wouldn't go do that. So, you know,
you knew there was gonna be fire hoses. Of course you bring your raincoat. Although I sound more like the girl from Little Shop of Horrors when I do that.
I'm trying to think of get a list of movies that I'm one. A good one. I'm gonna have to throw it out. It might be a little scary.
Before we say anything else, this is a total throw out. Can we just for a second think about the fact that Exhibit was going to come pimp the ride of a man he thought was blind?
Yeah,
and then they got all upset. Like, it's a car. Yeah, he wouldn't own a car. I mean, he wouldn't be driving the car if he was blind. Although Stinkmeaner drove the car even though he was legally blind.
But he was going to pimp it out. I mean, that's very telling of Exhibit's rise and who he is now. I mean, Exhibit looked like somebody's old daddy who comes to the football games, the Pop Warner football games, and stands on the field and just yells at everybody.
Now I gotta look.
Maybe back in the day he had some clout, but now he just works out a lot and wears wife beaters.
Yep.
Yeah, it's my son, he's so into 90s music right now. If that boy plays one more Fantasia song, I don't know what I'm going to do. But he just, when he sees rappers now, he's like, who's that? Like, he saw DMX. He's like, on the Versus battle, he says, no. That's not DMX. And he goes and gets his phone and he shows DMX from back in the day with, body and everything. And I was like, this is also late 90s.
This is what happens. Oh my God. We did that to I remember doing that to Natalie a few years ago when she was really obsessed with the Jonas Brothers. And so we showed her what boy bands were like in our different, when we were growing up. So for me, I showed like videos of New Kids on the Block. Dean, I can't even remember what you did. What was like
the Monkees?
No. There were no boy bands when I was growing up. There was not boy bands until I was a late teenager. That was when New Kids on the Block came. I mean, I guess, well, unless you want to go the Jackson 5. That was like
there's been boy bands since
but
Michael
was the only one who was still a boy. I think the rest of those kids were adults by then. But
most of the singers in boy bands are actually adults, Dean. That's kind of the way it works. They usually have like one 12 or 15-year-old, and that's about it.
Oh,
Joey. But anyway,
so Michael, so the Jackson 5, I guess would.
I don't think that's what we showed them, but anyway. The point was, I also showed her what they look like now, and whatever. At that point, they had just put out like a new album or something, and so I showed a video, and she's like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Yeah, yours are going to grow up too, honey." She's like, "No, they're not." She was like 15, maybe younger even.
My niece is like obsessed with Billie Eilish and then like any K-pop.
I do kind of love Billie Eilish.
I'm not a fan.
She's got Tourette's and she like slams against body shamers and just like
that aspect of it, really cool. But music's not good. I don't
care about her music. I don't care about most of the popular music these days.
I like what she stands for.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like her.
My niece likes her because my niece feels like she's kind of like, not really in the end and has some body issues and whatnot.
I don't like speaking without receipts, but isn't she one who's like hated just to hate? Like, didn't she throw out some bullshit at Lady Gaga? Like, I recall this lady popping off at the mouth a bunch, just being a hater. And it's like, girl.
I mean, all I can say about that, because I don't follow it, is she just turned 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
because there was a big deal when she turned 18 and all the gross guys were like, now we can oogle, like, and that's why she wears the big old clothes, because she's grossed out by all that shit. And I fucking don't blame her. It's one of the reasons I did when I was a kid, because I developed and then I wore my dad's 3X sweatshirts all the time.
My husband says, does she always look like she's going to recycle?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what she always looks like? My niece looked at him like,
that is a style.
Haggard. But yeah, the boy bands, that's hilarious. I mean, Justin Timberlake is just still the best. I saw AJ on Dancing with the Stars. That was
a Backstreet Boy, right?
Now. Yeah, the one that was really like the bad boy who really went through it and was into drugs and everything. I was an NSYNCer, but I know about me from Backstreet Boys.
What?
98 Degrees. Oh, greatness.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just saw that for the first time this year.
Rocky Horror?
Mm-hmm.
oh my God.
Oh, man, I grew up on that. That's a whole nother conversation.
I wasn't drunk or anything else enough. I was like, what? Everybody was singing and stuff.
I spent most of high school in a theater acting out Rocky Horror Picture Show in front of people. So, yeah.
I was in theater too, but our thing was Grease. Was our big thing.
Love Grease.
Yeah, it was Brazil.
Dean's still never seen it. He's proud of that fact, though.
He was funny, though.
He was in love with. Oh, he hates musicals.
Okay, let me tell you. When I was a kid, when I was a kid, I loved Olivia Newton-John. I was huge crush. I mean, I was a tween at the time. So yeah, when that came out, and which was probably like what 78, 79 when Grease came out.
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, I was 10, 11. And so because she and John Travolta kissed, I just couldn't handle that. So I never saw it, and I still haven't seen it to this day.
Now fast forward to his daughter hating Taylor Swift because she dated a Jonas brother. And, and I'm like, ooh, she got that from you.
Well, I definitely, but yeah, I don't get Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake. I don't get it. So that would be like, ew, you were.
I don't get most people's relationships, though.
Well, look, I act like I know everybody. So, but who was I? Oh, Brian Austin Green. Brian Austin Green was my shit. And when him and Tiffany Amber Thiessen started dating, I was like, I hated you as Kelly because you cheated on Zach. And now A little involved.
Okay.
I relate to your daughter, though.
All right.
We can have a whole nother episode on that, and you guys know that about you. Okay.
So yeah. So let's get back into the show a little bit. Let's see here. What did we talk about already?
I did want to bring up Huey and his 23.
Oh yeah. 23 leftist organizations.
Oh my gosh.
Named Bro and Bro and Afro. And I mean, he is so creative and so like that's the kind of kid that I was. Like I didn't create, organizations and like fight for causes and all that, but like I would write stories about that kind of thing and like draw pictures and like that kind of imagination where you can just take like one little thing and really just kind of blow it up. Yeah, I can do that.
Well, I think
Still
that's why
do that.
he's into like anime and stuff like that kind of plays into it. Like that plays into his character. I think very intelligent. I mean, anime is huge now, and I don't get it. I tried to watch it with my son, and I was like, first of all, you're watching cartoon porn, basically.
It depends on it. And we're just starting to get into it. I've never really been super interested, but like I was talking to a friend the other day that since the pandemic started, I've seen all of the Miyazaki movies because they finally came out on Netflix in the US.
That's what,
and like watched Avatar, like all seasons of Avatar and Korra, the continuing story basically. And then that was actually when we went to Boondocks because it was recommended as an kind of an anime like stepping stone. Like it was like anime light, American anime essentially. Yeah. And so like I have been recently recommended a number of things that I should look up based on the things that I like. And I'm amazed at how many subgenres there are in anime and kung fu stuff.
And Netflix was like, I'm going to get them all.
I suggest Berserk. Watch it, read it, especially because you guys were talking about that gross comic last week. The one with yes.
Oh, okay.
First of all, so much of Game of Thrones comes from Berserk. It's like a 30 volume manga. It's been written since I think like 1984. But there's like Warner Brothers picked it up and did a short 3 series of movies. So you can get it quick. And why I was into anime even as a kid is that the storylines were more adult and complex. Even the shows for kids, Sailor Moon deals with complex shit. Whereas like back here, we were just getting The Simpsons, but like, everything was more so just like, cute bunnies and shit like that.
Yeah, when Sailor Moon came out here anyway, I didn't know anybody like later in life when I was a grown up. I've met lots of people who were really into it. But at the time that it was out, like originally first airing in the US, I didn't know anybody who watched it. And so it was not on my radar until much later, kind of like a lot of anime in general. Like not knowing about Avatar, which is apparently one of the big ones that everybody talks about.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but yeah.
Well, I told my son, I said, just ease me into it. Just let's find.
I think Avatar's a good easy into it.
Yeah, he says Pokemon. I was like, son, get out of my face.
It's about the slave trade.
Yeah, right.
Get out of here. Going back to Huey, though, I feel like, though, and maybe this was just my interpretation, when he's listing his 23 groups he started, and then Riley's listing, I'm known as this, AKA this, AKA this, and Granddad with the Bill Cosby shit. Like, this was a big, I should have pulled this clip, but I didn't. This was a big part of this episode for me because I watch a lot of reality TV and people judge me very harshly for it. Like, it's so fake. It's staged. Why do you do that? That's not real. Because reality is the fucking same. And this is what people do. Like
General Hospital is also not real. And I mean, come on. People, one of the biggest TV, events was when Luke and Laura got married. Like,
I remember.
Yes, I remember that.
I remember it. Yeah. I remember. I was like,
my grandmother wished she was Susan Lucci. What was that? All My Children? She wanted to be Susan Lucci.
I mean, I want to be her. She is like 1 billion years old and looks great.
Yes.
I mean,
very true.
Great. Yeah. But yeah, so what's wrong with it? For example, Bachelorette, never watched it, but I knew that the girl from this season was from Sacramento and that she did some stuff. We are watching. Now I'm like, babe, let's go. Like 2 hours, sit here. Let's watch. So yeah, it's an escape. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
And I feel like it's a study, or it's like a allegory for real life, because, you know, like you sit there and you look at, your best friend on Instagram with her Rolex. That's not her freaking Rolex. She's trying it on at the Rolex store, but she's going to amp this shit up. Like, I mean, to me, it's this whole thing of like, is reality TV making fun of reality, or is reality mimicking the shit we see on reality TV? Make yourself grander. Start 23 groups. Meanwhile, you just attend your freaking local YMCA for a boys club on Thursday nights, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think it's definitely, I like exactly what you said. I think we think that we're shining the light on, on this and making people, Heidi and Spencer, for example, like they have made their career. And now it's like, you guys got to get a regular life and regular job. But maybe what it really was is, like you said, maybe it's that we're actually just showing who we really are, who we really are. So it is, sorry, I'm going to ask a question. That one. It's a great study. And I know there's new aspects and study organizations of sociology, which are really focusing on reality TV and the effect and, people trying to mimic these lives that they see. And I'm like, they don't really live there, guys. They go and they stay there for the 6 weeks that they tape. And then they go back over to the other side of town where
it's like there's a lot of Instagram influencers. I was pointing it out to people, before the pandemic hit. There was a march that I was involved in, and we would see these people like dressed up all nice, like holding like Black Lives Matter signs and shit. All they were doing was taking a picture with the background of the march. They were not actually participating in any way, shape, or form. And like, that's how I feel about reality TV. It's just about looking good with no substance behind it.
Yeah.
And it's not knocking anybody who watches it. Like, I have my own weirdo things that I absolutely love, and I welcome people making fun of me for it. I will try my hardest not to make fun too much of people who do things that I don't understand. But, reality TV, I think that it's changed so much from what they initially, like when we were talking about the real world, I think we were talking last, how when it started, it really was the attempt to show real people interacting with each other that they never would have met otherwise. And it just turned into, you get to be this stereotype, you get to be this stereotype, you're going to be this one, and we're going to cut it all together so you look like the bad guy and you look like the bad guy. And so
you're going to be the angry Black guy. You're going to be the hoe. You're going to be the drunk girl. Yeah. It definitely, I'd say probably 5 seasons in, it was like, okay, you guys are just, it's
I know you.
Puck. We knew Puck.
Oh, God, that guy.
Puck was supposed to be the grossest, most offensive. He was supposed to be the antithesis of Pedro.
Yes.
And they did that on,
Pedro was like the angel. And yeah.
So.
But you guys don't think this applies to real life? I guess that's my kind of thing. Especially coming from the East Coast. Now, this might get me a lot of hate. You two and maybe 3 other people I've met out here are probably the only authentic people I've come across I'm not saying y'all aren't over here on the West Coast, but it's a bunch of fake as fuck people. You drive a car that, you're leasing, and, you try and take pictures in other people's mansions and shit. All you want to talk about is designer clothes and how much you paid for your sunglasses. Where are the real folks at? Yeah. And then they do adopt characters, I feel like, to be socially accepted. Like, and if you don't, like, even how I've talked about my job shit, if you don't act in the character role, people suspect that you are. Like, you're the proper Black girl. Nope. Like, if you don't act in that role, then they're kind of like, ooh, I don't know what this is. I don't know what to do with this, So I don't know.
I like that you say that. I mean, you even have celebrities doing that. Bow Wow, he was called, that was a whole challenge, like fake like Bow Wow, because he was making it seem like he was on rented a house. And then somebody was like, my friend is the real estate agent on that. Like that is not your house. Then said he was on like a jet. Mm-hmm. And then somebody snapped him at like the Southwest, line C gate. He wasn't even,
it's Bootylicious all over again.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Or was it Gangsta-licious? Gangsta-licious, that's what it was. Sorry. Yeah. Like Bootylicious. No, that was a song.
I was picking up what you were putting down. I was following like that. Yes. But it's super sad. So I like what you said. People will fake the funk. I will tell somebody, right? Like they go, oh, those are cute. I'll be like, girl, these are fake. These are dupes. Got them for $7. I don't.
Same.
One, because I could never go spend the money on that. Like, even if my husband gave me a black card and was like, go, I'd be in the clearance section of the freaking Ross or something. So, yeah, I just think if people would honor and appreciate the attributes that people have that are not materialistic and that are not, thought. Like, if you know that your friend flosses a little bit, but they have a really good heart and they would give their, that shirt that they're flossing about off, then that's something to deal with. But when people are just trying to put on falsehoods for people that will never know you or lay eyes on you physically, it's pretty sad. So
totally agree. That actually was a pretty good segue into something. Dean's, why don't you go ahead and play that one, Lindsay's.
Obi-Wan Kenobi said, your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. It seems to be getting harder, distinguishing reality from the illusions people make for us, or from the ones we make for ourselves. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the plan, to make me think I'm crazy. It's working.
It's so deep.
Yeah, I actually like when you guys were talking about that just now, in my head, I'm thinking, so yes, I think people put on these airs to create a reality. I also feel like that, that's always kind of happened, but I think since the onset of reality TV, it's become worse because everybody thinks they can potentially get their 5 minutes of fame. Mm-hmm. And that's in this culture, in this American culture, that's kind of a big thing. Everybody wants to be famous, apparently.
That's the level of success now when that wasn't the definition before. So
right, exactly. Like, I don't give two shits about being famous. Otherwise, I would have actually pursued a singing career 20 years ago. Like, when you say stuff about like people being real, like I get that. There's a lot of people that live in Washington who moved up here from California. And I hate to say it, but like I can spot them from a mile away, usually, unless they've been here for a long time. Like Dean's been here for 15 years, more than that. Was Evan born here or in California? So 17 years almost. Yeah. So about 17 years he's lived up here. It's not, you don't really spot the California in him. But, I've got friends who've moved up here from LA rather recently, and it's like, oh, yeah, I can tell.
And I think it's so, I love LA. Like my husband says, you can go live there by yourself. He will never raise kids down there. And he's like, I'll come visit you every so often. But I think the reason why what I love about it is because I'm totally into pop culture. So it's that. So, okay. It reminds me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You know how like Toontown was always just on.
Smile,
that's what Hollywood is to me. Like, I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see a celebrity at there's the Hollywood sign, there's this and that. But people really do have a lot of issues and things that they, are trying to soothe and cover in very detrimental ways where, I'm 600 miles up the freeway and, we get a little bit of that, but not so much. We still go to the river. I don't know anybody in LA that says they go to the river.
Yeah. I think it's a club.
Yeah, right? Oh, I have VIP there. Yeah. So yeah. And are you seeing in San Francisco now, because there's so many new, millionaire entrepreneurs, that is kind of seeping into like San Francisco, because Silicon Valley is so close and all that. Are you really kind of seeing that?
Can I be 100% sure? No, but I feel like there are definitely a lot of like men and women out here, pretending to be this ultra successful entrepreneur, and they may be, but I even feel like these people who I've met, I think you might have access to lines of credit, right? You may really own a business and it may really be taking off, but are you living within your means? I don't know.
Right.
It's not
they
my
went got that new Maserati and it's a $700 lease.
Right.
And,
exactly.
Yeah. And they use their brother's Netflix sign in and their, yeah. That is definitely, I want to say, like, the younger generation, I don't think they're so much responsible for it as probably like Generation Z, like maybe a little bit of the generation right after us. Because I feel that we went through the whole socialite shit. We went through, YouTube, people becoming instant, celebrities. So I think that it was kind of the residual of like our generation, our generation here. And
I was going to say, I think I'm under different generation.
Yeah, I was saying you're right under. Yeah, so you guys were kind of like, what? I don't give a shit. Like,
my personality definitely fits in with Gen X more than millennial. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I'm a millennial, believe it or not.
I mean, I get I'm technically Gen Z. 78?
Nope, 70. That would be Gen X.
What is it? Okay.
Yeah. Through 79.
You're one of us.
Yeah.
But it's also where you grew up too. Because I grew up in a completely different way than both of you. And when I think about fake people up here, I think about being the kid who shopped at Value Village because that's all we could afford, not the kid who shopped at Value Village because grunge was popular. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like that
Well, that's also this switch that's happened, right? And you guys, like Seattle is kind of like the epicenter of hipster culture, right?
Yes.
In Portland.
Oh, yes.
So this is like another weird kind of what that's happened,
Yeah.
So
I like weird. I embrace weird. I am very weird. I tell my students and my kids to embrace their weird, but sometimes even I am like, you're taking that just way too fucking seriously.
I tell my 12-year-old that I was like, you're so special. He goes, thank you. And I'm like, you know what? Do it. Because he gets his fellow, classmates and whatnot telling him like, dude, you're not trying to holler at a girl or, my son is very 12. He reminds me of us when we were 12. I still had an easy bake oven. Okay. Me and my friend would get in my room, watch Kids Incorporated and bake some brownies.
Oh God, yes.
Like
Tiffany on Kids Incorporated.
I love Kids Incorporated. Oh my God, I want to be Stacey Ferguson so bad. But no, and it's so different now. You can't. 12-year-olds now are TikToking. Or
before that,
they're doing
kids in elementary school. It's not 12. 12 is middle school. Kids in my class have. When TikTok started really kind of gaining steam, I learned about it from them. That's usually I learn about things like Minecraft and Pokemon, but this is like
Roblox.
Roblox,
my was like, this is how you do it. I was like, how do you know you don't have a TikTok? He's
right?
Like, I used to have it when it was Musically. He's also, it's the same. I was like, how do you, what have you been watching tech channels? Like, how do you know that? But yeah, he wants it because my son named himself Jax Ave, which is, his name is Jackson Xavier, the creativepreneur. And so he does it. He likes the TikTok for the dances and whatnot, but he likes the how-tos. He likes to go and follow the people that are actually educating. And, so he follows some artists and food. He loves to cook and anything that he's not supposed to do on his own. That's what he likes to do. But I will admit, in the first couple of months, I was like, I'm not TikTok. I'm too old for this. Girl, I got on TikTok one day and my husband was like, have you been on TikTok for 6 hours? I was like, should I have? It was so addicting. And I'm trying to do savage in my head. I'm savage.
That's actually why I won't join it. It's because I know that I will probably actually fall into it.
I do like that it's turning into much more of a how-to,
and a lot of activism is happening through that, which makes me really, really proud. You don't like that?
Well, I don't like TikTok. Listen, and there's some
exactly
funny
same
people.
Yes,
but they did do and like, y'all, I'm not on Facebook. I don't do TikTok. I know I'm the last cave woman, but they did like the silencing of when a bunch of Muslims started posting about the genocide going on against Muslims in China. They were taking the videos down and banning their accounts
because it was a China-owned company. Yeah.
And like LGBTQIA stuff, like same, they were banning their accounts and they said, oh, no, we're banning them because we don't want them to get bullied. I said, man, fuck y'all. I'm not, I don't want to hear this.
I did the same thing.
Cool.
And I think that was like 2 years ago, right? Because I remember having conversations with my students at school on why I wouldn't. And I was like, they're not very kind to people who are queer and I'm queer. So I don't feel like I can support them. And they're like, well, I never see that. What I see is this and that. And I'm like, good. If you ever do see something like that, report it because it's not okay. And I'm just going to choose not to expose myself to it at all. So,
well, I will say this. I know if you're not a TikTok fan, then I don't know if you know or not, but
I think that they're cool. I think that they're great for what they are. I just,
money. Those influencers on there, they're making crazy, freaking money, but they're also very entitled and they're turning into like whatever the Paul brother that nobody likes. Jake. Whichever Paul. I know. Whichever one that everybody is like.
The one who got caught during a Black Lives Matter protest trying to set a fire inside something. Like, oh yeah. He like got caught on camera and then tried to deny it. Yeah. Stupid white people.
They are rich. Like from YouTube, dude. Like, so it's.
And they're funny as fuck. Don't get me wrong. People text them and I'm like, oh my God, so good. They are. I want to be a part of it, but I just said, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's not me shaming and you for watching it at all. Like I said, I'd be on YouTube like, but I just stop it. Yeah.
Well, my husband was always like, do not get me on TikTok. So one day he was working on papers and it was the biggest thing was who that is. That's just my baby daddy. People play that, right? So I laid in bed and act like I was like just kind of doing stuff. And then he looks over and he goes, what are you doing? And then my finger slipped and the music started playing. I was like, nothing. And I just pressed like, he's like, I'm so mad at you right now. Don't put me out there. I just wanted to do one as a family. I was like, let's do one together. My 12-year-old was like, I'm not doing it. And me and my 9-year-old, no, that's so not fun. And then I was over it. So, but yeah.
I think on that note, we should discuss the one last major theme in this episode before we move on to stupid white people, since I brought it up. The other big kind of theme that was running through this was Huey and his secret agent. And like the episode started with Huey talking about the 23 organizations that he had created. And essentially this white man just shows up and basically said, well, we're watching you because of all of those things. And actually, I know that Lindsay and I both picked kind of the same clip to kind of talk about different things, but we're going to play the whole thing and then we'll see where the conversation goes.
I've come up with a name for you. The White Shadow.
I'm white. I'm shadowing you. It's very clever.
And I've decided that you're a figment of my overactive imagination.
Now who's hiding from reality? Just because you're paranoid, Huey, doesn't mean we're not out to get you.
If you are real, why me?
Oh, come on. You underestimate yourself. It's a shame what happened to the house. You warned them.
They wouldn't listen to me. They never listen to me.
I know you want to save the world, Huey. But sometimes people have to learn lessons on their own. The hard way. Well, can't miss the idol. If you ever want to talk, remember, I'm always listening.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to start because the beginning of that clip was where I really kind of was like, I want to talk about that. So Huey doesn't believe his own eyes at this point because he has tried to basically get other people to believe that this guy is there and nobody's believing him. So he's like, maybe you're not real. Maybe it's not actually happening. Maybe I'm hallucinating you. Do you think he's actually being shadowed or is it just a figment of his imagination?
Shadowed.
What do you think, Angela?
I do. I definitely believe. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because me too.
He reminds me of the guy from The Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's who he reminds me of. Like, I feel like, and I feel like that is kind of an undertone of it.
Yep.
Like, there are things going on, and then with Jasmine believing in the Tooth Fairy, and then being like, "Well, you can't tell me what to believe in," and you. So
exactly, yeah. I love that scene with Jasmine too, because she's just like literally like, "What? You have no proof about yours. I have no proof about mine. What makes yours any more real than mine?"
Yeah.
Like, she is smart cookie little one.
You're a little kid. Like, nobody cares about you. You're not that serious. But that also sets the tone to let you know that, I mean, a lot of Black leaders were very young when, they died. So I think that kind of plays into it as well as like, well, they could be looking at him.
Yeah. Like, if
Black
they
men
think
don't scare people any less just because they're 10. If they have something to say and they're educated, just as scary.
And if he's already at this level at 10, we have to watch him extra and let him know that we're watching him because we don't want him to turn into, the Huey that he's named after, where we have to then, kill him at 27. Or I can't remember exactly what year, but because there's that underlying throughout the whole series, that underlying theme about war and like the first Iraq War and George W. and all of that. I just found it really interesting that they had this shadow figure, this, what do you call him? White Shadow, introduce himself and say, yes, I'm here and there's nothing you can do about it. And you might as well just go on with your life. And, we know that you're smart. We know that you're good. It's too bad that they're not listening to you, but we're here and we're real.
I feel like that. I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to be around and I'm going to let you know what's going on, but I'm also going to try to reason with you. And, so it definitely, once again, Aaron
trying to get you to give it up.
So smart. Like, it's multi-layered, when you really start to think about it. And
it really kind of influences, like, Huey is so dejected about so many things over and over and over again that happened to him. So it's almost like this guy is like, yeah, no one's ever going to take you seriously. And I'm just going to remind you of that. So you never build enough confidence to be the man that you probably could be. Like, that's what I really see there is he's like, we're letting you know.
Yeah. I call it the okie doke. Of course, I can't take credit for that. Like, I grew up in the hood. That's, like, used to be in the shop getting your hair done. And my hairdresser would be like, oh, you in here with the okie doke? When people would come with their fake bootlegs and all this kind of shit. So that's just what I started calling it. And just as a woman of color in business, like, finally leaving corporate and starting my own job, it was because around 2015, I became aware, they're trying to do the okie doke. No shade to anyone listening, any former mentors or whatever. I had a lot of white men coming up in my career who always tried to convince me I was wrong about things. No, that's not what it is. Or silence me about things, speaking up and voicing my opinion, or take credit for shit. But at a point, you start putting the pieces together, like, but wait, I was right. But wait, I was right. Da 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 da. But I know I'm right. I know I'm smart. Wait, why are you telling me I'm wrong? And it ties all into
you and be like, no, I'm just trying to help you.
Yes.
Girl.
You're so combative. You're so aggressive. MJ. Well, like, why don't you want to let people help you? Let people lead you because you're trying to
all the time.
Stray. Yep. You're
like
so
that
aggressive.
Shit like that.
I'm sorry that I speak in a monotone voice sometimes when I'm really trying to hold my emotions so that I don't yell and scream in your face. So this is actually me respecting you and not calling you a pussy.
And then you call me, label me an angry Black, aggressive woman.
Right.
But I think this also feeds back into this whole notion of reality TV. I think there is this whole thing about society, and like, we're all, not all of us, but a lot of people are complicit in it, where we try to convince other people that your real self, your weirdness, being who you are is not good enough. You need to get in with the crowd so we can progress and move forward. We all need to bend to society and fit in some ways. And it's so you do not unlock your true power. Y'all, and people do say I'm paranoid and a conspiracy theorist, but take it all the way back to the beginning of what we were discussing. And I remember thinking like with the election and Trump, and I do think it's all intentional. Or when I think, MJ, you were talking about like when like Black parents are taken from homes and then you put people in foster care and this and that. Sure. And I know I'm a conspiracy theorist. I know I'm paranoid, but it feeds into poverty and mistrust of society, which, and feed kids trying to, make their own way and strive. And then they end up in the prison system. I do believe all of that shit is intentional. I do believe it's the okie doke. And we're all, I mean, I don't care who you are, white, Black, male, woman, gender nonconformist. I feel like society tries to get you to conform. So you just shush that brilliance down. Whatever that unique weirdness is in you, turn it off. Get in line so we can keep on keeping on as we have.
It's like what White Shadow said. It's like what White Shadow said. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for that book of secrets to be found, and for that,
Oh, girl, Trump is. If they don't put him in like Guantanamo or something, he's going to be selling all of that shit. Like, I heard that. So they actually were talking about on the news today about we've never had an instance where an outgoing president poses a threat to national security, and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be even more fun than I thought it was.
I mean, what do you guys expect? Why is it that everybody else is going, oh wait, he's an idiot? Right? I didn't know that.
Fuck, right?
Like my husband said earlier to his mom, he's not a politician. This man is a failed businessman, a failed reality star, a serial, just misogynistic, just pig, who was born with a very, very, very nice coated silver spoon in his mouth.
And not only that, he was born into a family that probably never told him, well, besides his father. His father always probably told him no, but nobody else ever did. And so he just grew up only wanting to impress daddy. Yeah.
I could see his dad tell him like, Donnie, you're such an idiot. Like, that's where it comes from.
Yep.
And then his mom probably was, my husband goes, well, isn't he? But his mom probably was very quiet because if I remember correctly, I just watched something again on Vice when I couldn't sleep the night before the election. And it was talking about his family history.
Narcissistic dad,
They were immigrants, of course. His grandmother came over here with nothing. His mother grew up like on the Lower East Side or whatever, was the Hell's Kitchen or whatever. So she was probably very just happy to be with where money was. If she was even around, because I'm trying to remember if they even talked about her. I know they heavily talked about his father.
I would watch that Mary Trump interview. She talks about it quite a bit. Like the mom was very, like the dad was abusive emotionally, but the mom was, and the dad favored the oldest, the oldest kid. But the mom was very doting on him until he was about 2. She got like deathly ill and was removed.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They did say that. It kind of reminds me of the Menendez relationships. I feel like that's what, without the murder. But I feel like, who else knows what else was going on? But I feel like it was just, it's, a lot of secrets behind closed doors there, and money bought it all. I mean, he bought his way into freaking Wharton.
Not surprised.
Can somebody hack into the SAT department and prove that this man got like a 2?
He never even took him. He paid someone to take him for him.
Yes. Yeah.
He did. That's right. Yeah.
Hey, so I actually had skipped over something that I really wanted to mention earlier, and I totally forgot about it. I know Dean's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm also looking at the time, and I know that we can get a little long sometimes. But so there was something that really caught my eye actually quite a few times in this episode. Especially around when the house remodel and the narrative that they were, the narrative that they were trying to present about the Freeman family, how, they were like, oh, homeless. So we're going to make sure you have the homeless people here and all that. But things like the sign that said Free Man's Watermelon Patch. There was a fried chicken dispenser.
Mhm.
Like the bedroom was like a basketball court with beds
That's
on.
right.
Like,
Right.
it-
Graffiti. That's right.
Right. So like none of that was done to make the house better. It was done to make it blacker.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And to have that one Black family in the neighborhood where everybody's lawns are manicured and theirs has, old Chevys and
it's ours.
you know.
we've got nature in our yard. That's what I like to say. We have nature.
When I do buy a house, I'm like, grass. We need water efficient. I need some succulents. I need some rocks.
Yeah.
I just let whatever's growing grow out there.
As nature intended. I like that. As nature intended. Don't fuck with nature.
But I think all that bullshit, like the basketball court and the fried chicken dispenser, it was that same thing about you have to fit into the character people cast you as. Like, what do you mean? You don't like watermelon? What? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't like watermelon.
I don't either.
I love it.
So, you guys, you want to know how
It's just
I didn't get
water?
a lot.
You take a bite and it's just not there. I don't understand.
You can cut a hole and put a bottle of vodka in. Then I bet you'd like it.
Do that.
I thought that was going to go somewhere hard left.
No, come on. That's not even a good texture.
As far as I know, the three of us are missing something.
That's a
I
walk
might
right
be
there.
wrong.
I thought it was a recommendation. But
I'm just said it's a wow.
Oh my goodness. Leave it to my lovely husband to do something like American Pie this conversation.
I love it. So I have to mention before we take off, I received so many comments and people following me just to say, you're tripping. Friends is not funnier than living single. And I challenged anybody. I said, watch this clip. I don't care what you say. And I told one of the people, I said, look, I'm going to shock you. I don't like chicken and dumplings. Yeah. I don't eat chicken off a bone. I don't like watermelon. And he was like, oh, I might unfollow you. He was kidding and whatnot. But yeah. So
Black Shadow's going to take your card. Card away.
Right?
Girl, I feel like I have to fight for my black card sometimes. Like, I totally understand that it still comes from that point of not feeling black enough, and I'm working on it. But when I think of stereotypical black things that I don't like, the list is endless, and it's really unnerving to well, I don't have much in common with a stereotypical black person. That's not true. That's just on the surface, but still.
Search a show called Black Blasphemy on YouTube. It's through this content this group, All Deaf Digital. But what it is people saying things like, I think Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday is ridiculous.
That one, I love Stevie Wonder, but okay.
The Happy Birthday is perfect. Or people going, I've never listened to a Biggie album. Or I have never, I think waves are stupid. People shouldn't wear do-rags and waves.
My edges are weird.
I haven't had any. Especially now that I cut my hair. It's like,
snatched.
Yeah, I just try to shave my face and not look crazy. But you guys should watch it because it's very much that. Are we really, we're not a monolith,
Right,
so
right. I was brought up to think that black people were a monolith. And I wasn't, I was not necessarily better than that, but I was different from that. And it's just not true. It's just because my experience in life is so very white that I haven't met a lot of black people. And I hate to say it that way, but really, Seattle is so fucking white. It's ridiculous.
I was going to say, girl, it's like you and who else?
I mean, I work at a school where apparently probably most of the black people in Seattle work because there's a lot of... Yeah.
Wait, you're into also Russell Wilson and Sierra, right? That's right there.
Besides those two, yeah.
Yeah,
but
kind of like a
DJ. DJ, dole him out.
Oh, what about him?
He's the only other black person we actually know. Who's
That's true. I was like, what about him? What?
Yeah,
and he would be kind of the same. He's into anime, and he's very he's a very nerdy techie guy.
He's a blurred.
Yeah, he's a black nerd, blurred.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's literally the black people that I do know are very similar to me. We grew up here though, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think it's exactly what MJ was saying though. There is no, yes, there's a shared experience of discrimination, of having our history kind of taken away from us, of like survival in a way, and like this sort of spirit of, we're in a really shitty situation in this country. No shade. I know a lot of Black people love America, but we're going to make jokes about everything. Like, I think those are
we get through shit.
Yeah. Those are the common experiences, but then throw in like you said, geography, economic status. Like, there all live
Black
wildly.
people who are like major Trump supporters. They're actually major Trump supporters. I want to shake them. Like we were talking about this the other day. Like Dean asked me about something about like understanding why white people might be voting for Trump, and I'm like, I get that. They're white people. That's what they do. But Black people voting against their best interests, in my opinion, voting for Trump, because as much as he says he's the best president for Black people,
and he's done so much for us,
what has he actually fucking done?
Racist person in the room.
I didn't know that. Do you guys dodge bullets every time you go to the grocery store? Because
I mean, Trump thinks that we do in Seattle. I mean, we're run by anarchists here. And
that does lead into the white people question.
Oh yeah, that's right. Are you guys ready for that?
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of an aggregate of conversations that I have had over the years on Twitter.
Mostly this week.
No, it's just they haven't stopped. But why? The question is, why do Black folks vote so heavily for Democrats when it was the Democrats who created the KKK?
Like when he said he was going to pose this question, I was like, oh my God, I feel like that question is, I would think, answered by now.
Oh, well, it should be, but there's so many.
Yes, I know.
There are so many who are willfully ignorant about the Southern strategy and et cetera. But I want you guys to.
Black people also as slaves, we used to eat chitlins and, the scraps, but we don't now because it's not good for us.
Well, some people do because of culture, and that's fine.
No, not
but
disgusting.
I know, I don't know. No gizzards.
Loose comparison there.
I ain't gonna eat the neck no more. I'm sorry.
Neck bones are good. I haven't but no, it's kind of like, are you serious? Like, this entire country, other than being built on our backs, was built upon racist men, whether it was a group that hid under freaking, sheets, or whether it was our president. So,
and even and at the time, calling Democrats and comparing them to what they are today is a complete misnomer. Just because it's the same party name does not mean it's the same people. And what is called Republicans these days, back before the civil rights era, those were the very left-leaning people. That's why Republicans are always like, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Yeah, back when Abraham Lincoln as a Republican was a leftist. That's what happens.
And not a good person. Like, please stop using
No, he was not a very good. I mean, he was, for the time that he lived in, he was very progressive. But that's also saying that J.K. Rowling is a progressive writer because
no, I'm with you.
20 years ago, she wrote progressive characters.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I have a question.
Yeah.
For sure. And what's funny is she can't, I don't think she's ever going to come out with anything else because she is so embedded in who she is.
She wrote a book under a pseudonym, or a series of books, I think, with a transphobic character, with a character that was very negative, stereotypy trans person. She's a fucking horrible person, just through and through. She needs to go away.
I was poor. I was on welfare. Great. Guess what? You're also kind of biggity. But yeah.
Just because you're poor doesn't mean that you can't be racist or a bigot.
Right. Put her back in Starbucks where you found her. But I'll also say to this too, me and one of my friends from elementary school got in a fight over this back in the 2016 election because he was saying don't be so close-minded to Trump, we Black people need to stop looking for handouts and start taking responsibility for our situation and all this kind of bullshit. Nope, sorry, I had to pop off. I don't even remember the shit that I wrote back. He was in the military, which is where that bullshit comes from.
Where that comes from. Yep.
Well, it was also just the other fucking day, Jared Kushner, like the son-in-law to our president, was saying the exact same fucking thing. Well, Mr. Trump can't want for black people to be more successful than they want for themselves.
The walking cutout, like, good Lord, shut up. That's one thing that I am angry about is that I've seen a group of people, black people that are like, what are we celebrating? What's it going to do for us? And it's like, you guys have never heard. I mean, okay, if you're saying it's the lesser of two evils, great. But where have you guys been for 4 years? Yeah. Okay, I would take Shamu over Trump. Okay, so like, let's be positive and let's move forward and let's identify that even though very quickly after she was elected, they stopped calling Kamala. I'm gonna call her KK.
I remember it by saying Kamala.
There we go. I like KK. I'm gonna call her KK. Sis KK. No, very shortly after they got elected, they stopped referring to her as possibly the first, elected women of color, and now it's just she's the first woman. And I'm like, not necessarily. It's still all over. Yeah, it's still all over that she's the first black, the first Indian, and the first one to not have any known white in her. So like I'm hearing that a lot. We went to a brewery the other day and we were sitting there because the beer was absolutely horrible, but it was we were supporting somebody that we were with. Oops, hope they don't watch. And, so we were sitting there kind of waiting for us to be able to push our cups to the side and run out. So we were watching, my best friend had brought it up. And so I was like, well, let's kind of check and see that. So we all kind of pulled out our phones and on TV, and we were all on different, media outlets. My niece, who's 25, and she's the most progressive Hawaiian girl I ever known. But she was on like Medium or something. And we all, like, for half an hour, we just sat there and we looked at all of these reports, and every single, I wish I had the paper still. I was taking little, notches, and we were counting, like, every single one just left out woman of color, either black or, so I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted because I feel like I said, don't take it away from us, because if I had a daughter, you'd be getting a KK doll.
I mean, her kids are so fucking cute in their little like tea party dresses and Doc Martens. Oh my God. If I had children, I would dress them like that so fast.
Yeah. Does she have kids? Does she have kids?
She's got 2 kids. She's got 2 little girls. She's got 2 more girls.
Yeah.
She's got stepkids too, but I don't know. Like the only time I think that I've ever seen her with them was on the night when she accepted the nomination.
We don't put our kids in the street like that.
Yeah, she's not doing that.
I love that she came out with Beyonce. Oh no, Mary J. Blige, by the way. I just have to shout her out. That was real. When she came out to do her speech that night, I was like, go ahead, girl. You better come out to some Mary J.
I do want to go back to these fucking Republicans, though, and why Black people should not vote Republican, which is that, listen, guys, we can talk about both parties sucking, but that's a different conversation. If you look at like systemic racism, oppression, whatever, one party votes very strongly to keep those locks in place. One party votes very strongly towards progress, equal pay, police reform, etc. Whereas one party is not even willing to have those conversations. So that is why we tend to vote Democratic. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily
parents do and whatnot. Okay, great. We do that. That's what we do. That's how we learn. That's our our center of focus. Now, a lot of times my husband and I being one, went to college, you get your own bank account, you get your own bills, you get your own things. And as your life changes, then, your interests may change or who you go for. But overall, I mean, who pushed to give everybody the stimulus? Who was pushing to get everybody, even though people did some crimes and, got the EDD on the shouldn't have, but who was pushing for that? It wasn't the other side.
Right.
They were pushing to help their homies and the Fortune 500 companies and to bail out these stupid ass banks again. So it's, I agree with you. It's a mirror image of who meets our best interest. And if I heard one more Black person just sit up and say, oh, we really didn't win, why were people dancing? Because we just got out of the worst, Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger freaking dream ever. that's why people are dancing, you know? So,
and it's also kind of a relief, not necessarily a celebration, but a relief. And the daughters of, okay. So I was incorrect on the two little girls that Harris was dancing with. Those were her nieces. So.
Okay.
But she's got 2 stepchildren who are adults now. But she became their stepmom when they were younger.
Yeah. I thought her husband looked a bit older.
No,
I mean, not really. It's their marriage is pretty much mirroring me and Dean. Like, he's a few years older with 2 kids. She came in as a stepmom and kind of made herself.
Doug and Kamala are the exact same age. Yes. They were both born in 1964.
Well, there you go. Black don't crack there. So
their designer will help him out a bit, because maybe a clothing, like, the very JCPenney beige, like that's what I've just seen him in. Maybe he's just trying to fall into the background. Look, to him, to her, that he is probably the finest man and dresses the best. But let's go,
He looks older.
He fucking loves her. Oh God, he is. You can tell. He is so fun.
Dean gets so worked up when he sees a genuinely in love couple. He's so cute. Because adorable.
I mean, he was wearing a T-shirt that just said Kamala. That's all it said.
And he was opening his shirt anytime there was a camera around. Look at this.
I'm like, if you were, I would be doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah, he would. He absolutely would.
I'm absolutely deeply, deeply in love with your Black queens.
Very, very much.
And how awesome is it that we're going to have the first, what are they going to call him?
Oh, they just printed
second gentleman.
Second gentleman. That's right. That's what they were saying. Okay.
I was thinking of Scandal, because I was like, didn't on Scandal? So bad. I was like, on Scandal, didn't they have a vice president that was a woman for a very short time?
Yeah.
But okay. So yeah, it's pretty. I think that's pretty cool, and I'm actually very happy that I'm going to be able to talk to my grandbabies, who are going to be many years in the future, and and talk to them about it, and say how I didn't have to drink a whole bottle of Tito's. I just drank half in celebration. But yeah, it's pretty neat. So all of you out there that are telling us give me time, y'all didn't give us time 4 years ago. So nope,
you're still not giving us time.
Yeah. So yeah, just one more thing before we move on. But I just wanted to say that, again, Black people, not a monolith. I brought up before that this election was won on the backs of Black people in cities like Philadelphia and Atlanta and pretty much all over. But Black people, at least the progressive end of that section of people, have been for years moving away from the Democratic Party. That's the whole reason why Trump won, because Black people didn't vote 4 years ago. Not really. Not in anywhere near the numbers that they're voting now. Right. And that took, a lot of activism from people like Stacey Abrams and such. Dean's writing down stuff as if I haven't been listening to him watching CNN for 3 fucking months straight. I may not pay attention. I may have made you turn the TV off over the last few nights so I could have some sleep. But
I'm just so excited for.
It really is. It's adorable.
I'm in love with Stacey Abrams. Yes. I think she's fucking awesome, and she deserves all the props for fucking for where we got in Georgia. Yes.
I'm sorry, my brain just remembered something. Somebody was speculating on cabinet positions earlier, and Stacey Abrams was definitely in there. Bernie Sanders was in there, and they were positing. They were trying to think of the best attorney general it's attorney general for Barr, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were trying to think of who would be the best attorney general to really get under the skin of Republicans, and someone said Michelle Obama, and I am fucking here for that. She's got law degrees. She knows her shit. She is smart as fuck. There's no scandals. She wouldn't. I don't see her getting back into politics at all. The fact that Barack Obama did not get into this election season until it was The Wire, she was probably no, fine. You really need to go help your friend. Go help your friend. But imagine having her in a position of actual power.
Yeah, I could see her randomly just going on if Ellen's still around, but let's just say somebody and go,
fuck?
Yeah. Malia just got married. It was great. It was fantastic. And, Barry and I are talking and I'm going to run. Like, I could see it. I could, see it in mid to late 50s. Early 60s, maybe. I could see her throwing a little bit of time in there.
You say that isn't that how old they are now? I'm almost 42. She is not near my age. Yeah, she's 56 right now. She's already in her late 50s.
58, 59, 60. No, she could be like, old auntie. I'll call everybody auntie or sis. Auntie Maxine, I could see her in there just wearing her nice pantsuits and her scarves. And
Kids
in there.
Are 19 and 22.
The oldest one is like smoking cigarettes like crazy and with her very, very rich boyfriend. I'm like, go ahead, girl. At least you got you a nice little rich.
Like I say to Natalie, girl, live your life.
Do it.
Don't let anybody shame you out of having fun when you are young, because I tell you what, I try to have fun now and my body just goes, nope.
But don't let anyone shame you out of it when you're older either.
Oh, hell no. I'm enjoying my life by just having to listen to my body more.
I am planning my Burning Man, excursion. I
would love to go to Burning Man at least once in my life, but I don't think I could handle that at this point because it's so,
stimulating.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes, I was like, I don't know. Although I do have to say, I'm leaning. If I ever was to go to a big one, I might end up going more towards, oh God, what's it called? Wasteland. The one that's like Mad Max in the middle of the desert, post-apocalyptic. That's I'd get into that. A little bit more than the glittery rave stuff.
No, I'm Coachella is on my list. I mean, I wanted to go when Eminem performed, and I'm like $600 for what? And then I gotta sleep on the ground. But I'm gonna go. And EDC. Because I'm a huge EDM fan. So I do just want to go and do everything that is entailed.
We have no idea what you're talking about.
Speaking of which, for this election, I would like to congratulate Drugs for winning the war on drugs.
Right? Portland. I want to move to Portland. Everything is fucking legal now.
I mean,
not really, but yeah.
I was like, fuck y'all. Y'all don't have a right. We're here. We're staying here. It's like, it definitely.
I mean, so. I can't help but dream of a day when I can go to a store like I go to a marijuana dispensary and get microdosing of acid or mushrooms or whatever, because those things have been proved to help anxiety and depression. And that's my fucking life. Like I literally I'm like, I would like to on a medically follow a medical plan and all of that. But you can't fucking do that because it's illegal. And it's only illegal because it's fucking scary. And it's only scary because they made it that way.
But this whole time they've been taking it and getting enlightened and doing alternatives. Exactly. Just been getting sad. I will say, and I'll admit, I did it I've done shrooms twice. Once when I was in college, we watched Finding Nemo. I felt like I was drowning. I hated it. And then probably about 3 months ago, a friend of mine was like, here, try these. And I was like, these look like penises. And he's all, they're called penis envies. And we
may or may not have some in my kitchen right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
We are totally about, we have to stop offline. Because we're totally about to, we just found out that you can burn in the kitchen.
Your white shadows just turned up the volume.
Oh no, that if I had a white shadow, believe me, they would have shown up before now.
But let me kind of go. John C. McGinley as the White Shadow was perfect for that.
So perfect.
I mean, you probably know him from Scrubs. Mm-hmm. He was the asshole doctor. Yep. He was also in Office Space as one of the Bobs. So
love him.
He's
great. He's the perfect kind of smarmy white guy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do like him. There's some good ones that we know by face, and then you say the name. I'm like, that's him.
Yeah. I either remember your face or your name. I rarely remember both. And a lot of that, I don't have face blindness, but a lot of it is that I don't. Unless I see you a lot, I don't notice different features. So I don't actually memorize your face until I've become a friend with you. which was big trouble in when I was in roller derby, and people would get offended when I didn't remember them when I was like working the volunteer booth at RollerCon or something like that. Like, oh my God, Red! It's like, oh hi, I know you from here, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the trick for that. Always turn to like whoever's with you and be like, "Oh my God, MJ, this is."
Have you two met? I would do that. I would be like, "Hey, have you guys met?" And then I would let them introduce themselves.
Yeah. Yes.
Go do stuff.
Just go, you can say your name. It's so rude for me to do it.
Right. Exactly.
My trick is,
what do you like to go by? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm a hugger. So I'll be like, oh my God. And I'll always lean in and be like, what's up? And usually at that time, they'll be like, oh, such and such. And I go, oh, okay. Because I have time to like disarm them in a way. But yeah, I remember people by first and last name. My husband goes, how in the hell do you know? Remember somebody from kindergarten? And I'm like,
no. See, no, I can remember a few names from like 5 years ago and beyond, but faces, if I haven't seen you in a few years, no.
Yeah. Well, and I walked up to my best friend. I was like, did you see such and such? She's like, girl, I wouldn't know such and such if you came and just like right here on my forehead.
Yep.
I was like, we went to school since 5th grade. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so one of those things. Well, ladies, it's always so fantastic.
Yeah. I say this every single time. And in fact, I before when Dean and I were sitting and watching the show a couple times before this, I was like, every single Tuesday when we record, I don't necessarily look forward to it because I'm going to have to be on. But like once it's here, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is awesome. I'm having fun. I'm talking to friends. I'm enjoying myself. I'm getting something off my back or out of my system or whatever. And like, I told my therapist this is like therapy to me, and she just loves it.
Yeah.
It totally is. And the fact that we come from different walks of life and we were able to connect over a TV show and
a TV show that was 15 years old.
Yeah. But the conversations that we dive into, like I said before, it's so genuine.
Yeah.
I was just actually my post, you guys will see my post. I proposed that it's no longer Taco Tuesday, but Ladies of Woodcrest Tuesday. So
I like that.
Yes, me too. We should take it over. No, people are gonna be like, tacos are damn good. I don't know, but if you guys
why not both?
Right? Yeah.
Well, actually, with the episodes come out on Saturdays, right?
Yeah.
Saturdays. So Saturdays could be.
It could be.
Could be that.
So you guys are thinking clean. I completely thought a different dirty way.
Oh, I totally know what you mean. Yeah. I just am. We talk about things a lot when y'all aren't around too. So anyway, your guys are pretty.
Oh, it's all love. Every time, it's like it's hard to get off, but we're like, God, we all got shit to do.
Right. Every time it gets to be about like, we're closing in on 2 hours now, and usually we're about an hour and a half. So when we get like here, I'm like, oh, okay. On that note, I'll see you guys next week.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
Hey, thanks for joining us again as we make our way through the trials and tribulations of the Freeman family. We hope to see you back again next week for Return of the King.
Want to know where to find us on the social medias or where to subscribe to the podcast? Just head right over to www.theboondockspod.com/links.
Have a stupid white people question you want to leave us? Email us at host@theboondockspod.com or leave us a voicemail at 760-933-8636. That's 760-3-UNDO.
Shout out to the artists who've created our intro and outro tunes. Our intro is #MakeAChange by KIRK. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Our outro is Good Times by Audio Binger. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube.